Hi, I'm Roberta. Welcome to my kitchen and welcome to my friend Marc Malouf.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here. Now, if you've already watched any of our recipes together, you'll know that Marc's not a chef, but like me and like you, he's a passionate cook. And the surname Malouf should be a bit of a giveaway that he's got some serious Lebanese cred.
Yes. I may not look Lebanese, but I'm full Lebanese.
And I think the Maloufs were among the earliest Lebanese immigrants to Australia, weren't they?
Yeah, I think they may be the first Lebanese family into Australia.
Wow.
And they came into Queensland, and then my grandfather came from Queensland down to Sydney. And Malouf's a big name. There's a lot of Maloufs around the place. So.
Of course. Well, we know Chef Greg Malouf. We haven't worked out if you're cousins, but we think you might be, right?
Yeah, there's some eerily similar aesthetics of face and all that stuff. So yeah, I'm sure we're related somewhere down the track.
All right. So you've grown up in Australia, learning to cook and experiencing the cooking of your taters.
Yep.
And the barbecues of your judus.
Yep.
And tell me about the experience as a person of Lebanese descent growing up in Australia. You kind of got two worlds going on, I guess.
Yeah, well, I mean, Lebanese cuisine and anything about the Lebanese culture is really based around family and generosity and being welcoming to everyone and everyone. So
I love that.
Yeah, I grew up with a lot of family around me, a lot of friendship, a lot of love, a lot of passion, and yeah, it was a great upbringing.
Is there a lot of passion around how you cook, and does everyone have a different opinion?
Of course. Well, I mean, the taters rule, of course. I don't think you'll ever go to a Lebanese family and have a chat about food without hearing the phrase, "But my tater's the best."
I think this is
right?
very much.
So we're all very passionate about food, and we want to champion our own taters food.
Of course. That must be confusing because everyone's got two taters, right? And I bet they cook differently.
Well, you know what? It creates a little bit of tension on whose is better and all that stuff, but that's fine. There's place for everybody, I guess.
So I grew up, well, at least through my teenage years, my sister started dating a Lebanese chap, later married him, so I have a Lebanese brother-in-law, and his mother was tater to us. We never called her anything but tater, and tater's cooking was the best Lebanese food I know. So
I rest my case.
There you go. So some hospitality. Welcome
Thank
to
you.
my kitchen. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you so much for having
A
me.
little Lebanese coffee together while we chat.
Yeah.
So when I was looking for a Lebanese expert guide for this menu of Lebanese recipes, I turned to Marc first of all because I knew his passion for food. But it became more complex than that because one of Marc's hustles, because there's several, isn't there,
Yep.
is wine. Marc, years ago, became passionate about matching food and wine, and I'll let you tell the story.
Well, basically, I'm not a big drinker, but I have that perfectionist brain that comes from being a musician, and I always...
That's the other hustle I was
That's
going to
the
get
other
to.
hustle. And the way my brain works is deconstruct and then reconstruct to understand.
Ah, I like that.
So learning about wine was really interesting because asking yourself a simple question, what makes this Shiraz from the Barossa different to that Shiraz from the Yarra? And so automatically that musician brain is like, well, let's deconstruct what's in the glass and reconstruct it in a way that I can sort of work out the differences. So I got obsessed with wine. And I've been writing about wine since 2018, and that's become almost a full-time gig.
Now that's your Instagram, Wines Worth Writing About?
Yeah, so I've got an Instagram called Wine Worth Writing About, and obviously the title gives away what I write about.
Yes.
So there's a lot that doesn't make that page, but if you read it on the page, it means it's given the big tick from me. And then the other hustle is a wine business called iHeartWine, which is a business that I started to connect great independent producers from Australia with the public.
Which I love, because Be Inspired is all about great chefs, awesome producers, people who love food and wine. So
Correct.
you can see how nicely it all comes together.
Yeah, and I mean, there's a lot of McDonald's burgers out there that everyone knows and has tried, but until you get the taters burger. Do you know what a burger is supposed to taste like? And that's what the independent wineries are in Australia. And there's
Fair
some
enough.
wonderful wineries there. Yeah.
So, of course, as well as being our expert guide and making kibbe and seven spice with me, I asked Marc to curate our wine pack to go with the 4 menus. So, I think this is a first for Be Inspired. We've never had the wine curator here to talk about the wines.
There you go.
Tell us what you've chosen and just a quick rundown on why.
Right, so Lebanese cuisine is all about the freshness, the sour tart flavours of lemon and yogurt, and the vibrant herbs. For the meaty dishes, we've got a lot of sort of, I wouldn't say gamey, but earthy flavours that come through with the spice. So I think it's important when you pair them with wine that you get similar aspects in a wine. So, for example, we've got one wine from 4 different countries.
I like that too.
Just because my brain goes crazy like that. So for the meaty, earthy dishes, lots of spice, I've chosen an incredible producer from Spain, Casa Castillo. And this is made from Mourvedre and a little bit of Grenache. It's earthy, rustic, but very deeply juicy. And will match the lamb and all the flavours there from the chago and the kibbe and the capsicum and whatnot. Now, Bandol Rosé from Provence, the most beautiful pairing for so much of Lebanese cuisine. So that bottle alone could get you through the whole menu, I think.
I think there's going to be a lot of mix and match because this menu's very Lebanese food's very mix and match, isn't it?
Absolutely.
So I've given you 4 menus, but I wouldn't be surprised if you're moving things around, and you might do that with the wines as well.
Totally.
So tell us why the rosé.
So the rosé's got this particular rosé, which I think is one of the best rosés made in the world.
Woo!
Is made from Mourvedre, Grenache and Cinsault from Provence.
So Mourvedre and Grenache again, even that's interesting.
Yes.
2 same grapes, totally different expressions.
Correct, and this is much more elegant and light and sort of floral with pretty good acidity, but it's got a richness of texture as well, so it's quite creamy, which will match sort of the bold, rich flavours of the
I
dishes.
think we're suggesting that with the Sankehara, which I really like, the creaminess of the tahini and the creaminess of the wine.
Yep, and then we've got here a Sauv Blanc, which is the best Sauv Blanc in Australia, and this has got a little bit of age, so it's a 2018.
It's a big call. The best Sauv Blanc in Australia.
An easy call. It's not a big call. It is the call. It's a wonderful, wonderful wine, and that's got really vibrant acid profile, which is going to match all the acid from the tahini and the yogurt and the lemon and the fresh herbs. This is a wonderful pairing for a lot of Lebanese cuisine. Sauv Blanc is great, but it's not the Sauv Blanc you may know from New Zealand. So we're not going down that territory. This is serious. This is more reminiscent of Loire Valley. And then the final wine is from Italy, and it's Trebbiano. A touch of residual sweetness, but it's also got a lot of herbaceous flavours that run through it, and good acidity too, to match all the herbals and the sour flavours of the dishes. In all honesty, you could have any of these wines across any of the dishes and they'd work. Maybe reserve that for the meat, just because of its bold sort of red characters.
So for the kibbe or the kebabs.
Kebabs, perfect.
Labanibu. There's a lot of meat going on, a lot of lamb going on this month, as you'd expect.
But these 3, you can mix and match between any of the courses of the menu.
Menus.
However, we've recommended what they perfectly pair with, so you'll see that in the notes. And
beautiful.
They're my wonderful wines that you need to try, and also there's only 6 packs available, so if you want one, get in quick.
Oh, there's the call to action.
Oh yes.
Here's your coffee. Now, there's one more thing I haven't told you about, and that is, I guess, the main hustle. Your day job really is as a session musician, right?
Yeah, session guitarist.
People who know a lot more about music than me, which is 99.9% of the world's population, tell me that Marc isn't just a session guitarist, he's one of the best in the country, possibly one of the best in the world.
No way.
Just one of the best in the country? Can you own that?
I get a lot of good gigs. So,
okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Who have you played with? Drop some names for me.
Well, I've played with a lot of people. Probably the most famous on an international scale is I played with Slash for a gig, which was really interesting. But I've been very lucky. So there's a lot of artists.
Yeah. What do they say? The harder I work, the luckier I get.
Yeah.
I think you've put a bit of energy into that.
Fake
Good
it
luck.
till you make it. There's a lot of things.
But that means that not only are you getting Tata knowledge, a beautifully curated 4-pack of wine, you definitely need to listen to Marc's Spotify playlist of tunes to cook to, because I think he's the first professional musician we've cooked with.
Yeah, which is interesting, and it's probably going to be quite diverse playlist.
Good.
Yeah.
Diverse wines, diverse playlist. The only thing that's nice and tight is all those awesome Middle Eastern flavours.
And the kibbeh.
And the kibbeh. The kibbeh is nice and tight as well. Marc, thank you so much for joining me and for being so generous with your knowledge and your time.
Thank you for having me.
Here's to you.
Cheers.
And here's to you. Happy
Enjoy.
cooking.